Alright, hello everybody. My name is Sarah, and today I'm going to be sharing some of my ideas for building your practice and kind of just expanding upon some points and some beneficial steps to take and considerations to take while building a private practice or expanding a nonprofit practice, but basically skills and ideas for maintaining whatever type of professional practice is best for you as you're considering what your professional journey would look like. And so, we've learned a lot of different things along the way in this course, and this is sort of just a compilation of some of the guidelines, steps, and tips that I've felt are the most helpful, and also while pulling from some of my professional experiences as well. Okay, so first and foremost, it is important to create a plan. Really trying to figure out what it is that you want to do as a professional. Is it private practice? Is it nonprofit? And what are you actually ready for? So in assessing for readiness, there's all kinds of lists of things that need to be prepared in order to move forward with a practice, whether it's private or nonprofit. And are you actually ready? What money does it take to build or expand this practice? What are the steps that need to be put in place in order to start the process? And are you mentally, emotionally, and physically ready? If there is money that needs to be put in place, do you have the money? How are you saving up that money? If there's an emotional or mental piece to it, are you able to take this journey and start that journey both mentally and emotionally? So whatever it is that you are planning on setting forth, really figuring out personally, professionally, are you ready? And some of those questions will help determine that. And a lot of these following steps can really help for building that readiness. And so first of all, after that is get organized. Again, identifying what are the steps you want to take. What are some of the things that need to be put in place? We've talked about all kinds of different suggestions for putting different pieces of a practice into place, and really determining what that is for you is going to be pretty important to do right from the start. So figure out how to organize yourself. What are your organizational skills? Do you have organizational skills? And if you don't, who can help you get organized? Those are all, again, things to kind of take into consideration right in the beginning. Another helpful step to take in this creating a plan segment is to create SMART goals. So I'm sure people have heard of SMART goals, and it's really easy to make a goal and set a goal that says I want to build a practice, or I want to expand this nonprofit organization. But in order to make sure that goals are able to be met, they do have to be SMART. So that's a goal that is specific. You're defining exactly what it is that you want to do in that goal. It's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and it's timely. So rather than just saying, I would like to build this practice, it's I would like to build this practice by this time, and the way that I know I've met my goal is that this will happen, or I will be at this place, in these goals by the specific date. So we're setting more guidelines around these goals. Saying I want to build a private practice by tomorrow is not a SMART goal. If we have assessed for our readiness and we're not ready, we don't have the financial ability to put these steps into action, we're not organized, those kinds of things, we might be setting ourselves up for failure with some of the goals that we're creating for ourselves. So keeping in mind specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. That would be very helpful when we're first deciding what it is that we want to plan for building or expanding the practice that we have. After creating those goals, really outlining the first steps for practice is going to be another important piece of this plan. We talked about what some other scholars and previous professionals have suggested as different steps. So what are your first steps? What would you like to do first? Are we selecting a space? Are we finding people to help us? Are we partnering with other organizations first? What are the first things that are important to you? And in creating these first steps, I would say that it's helpful to choose, maybe 5 or 6 of those first steps. There's going to be several steps that are going to have to be put into building or expanding any sort of practice, again, whether private or nonprofit. And it's helpful to just pick out those first ones. What do I need to do first so that I can get to the end goal? As we are kind of looking at the goals and looking at the steps that we've outlined and identified, identify benchmarks for meeting those goals. And that's kind of just how are we measuring it? I know I am halfway done with my goal because I have found a space, I have marketed, I have networked with all of these different organizations and companies. However it is, identify benchmarks so that you can measure where you're at with your goals, determine if you need to assess or reevaluate or change or develop any of those goals, and celebrate when you've hit some of those benchmarks, because if you have, then that is something to be proud of, and celebrating can help to kind of refuel and motivate as you continue to work toward these professional goals. Again, once you kind of established goals, started some of the first steps, making a checklist. What is it that you need? Do you have a space? Do you need a space? Do you need marketing materials? Do you need a website? Whatever it is that you've decided you need for yourself, make that checklist. Put that with all these other, tangible things that help you determine where you're at, and add to that plan and make sure that you remain organized in that. Another really important, and I'm going to keep saying these are important because I feel like all of the steps that we take toward anything in our professional journey has the ability to be very important. Find inspiration and motivation. There's something in us as professional mental health counselors and therapists that have led us to starting this journey in the first place. So being able to find that motivation and continue building inspiration for yourself. So if that's the passion that you have for helping other people, if you're motivated by expansion, you're motivated by connecting to others, building something, whatever it is that motivates you. Sometimes it might be the prospect of an income or being able to support yourself and stabilize finances. Whatever it is, it's highly encouraged to continue finding things that motivate you. And if it's not the same thing all the time, then find new things that will motivate you and keep you inspired. Because all of these goals, all of these steps, all of this organization that you did in the beginning can be easily lost if that motivation and inspiration is lost. And then finally, once all of these things are in place, figure out how to commit. What does it take to commit? And then start. The best way to meeting a goal is to starting that goal. So get started. So this is, all of those just kind of helpful suggestions for getting that plan created and starting that plan toward meeting your professional goals. Okay. So again, whether we're focusing on this private practice ideal or even nonprofit, um, and I will kind of revert back to the private practice um, the strategies, but some of these are definitely relevant toward working in the nonprofit setting. I have a lot of experience in nonprofit, so that's kind of where I pulled some of these because I feel like they are helpful for private practice as well. So identifying your niche. What is it that you have to offer? What skills have you developed over your professional journey, over your professional life? What certifications have you achieved? What specialties do you have? What training do you have? What are the things that you have to offer to the people that you want to serve? And how can that be a little bit different than what's already out there in terms of services for others? So knowing what you have to offer, knowing what your skills are, and then knowing who you want to serve with those particular skills. If you know that you're really good at working, with a certain population, you have a certification in, working with um, people who've experienced substance abuse. Uh, how can you serve those clients in a way that maybe other people haven't been able to yet? And by doing that, you can look at the area of people that you work with, who's in your community, what's available in your community, and really figure out a way to fill a space in this market of the counseling field that hasn't been filled yet. And even though we might hear of a lot of different resources for clients. Unfortunately, it is never enough. So there's more than likely a chance that whatever it is that you have to offer has not been done in the way that you can offer it. And so really figuring out how to be creative with that is also a skill. So identify your niche, own your niche, and then figure out how you can use your own skills, your own qualifications to help whatever population you think would benefit from those skills. Okay. Again, this may or may not be relevant to different counseling settings, but if it comes to selecting an office space, and I've actually just been in the process of helping my company select a new office space for one of the programs that we are expanding, there's a few different things to take into consideration while selecting an office space. It's not just, hey, this is a nice looking building, let's go here. We want to take into consideration a few different things. Is it affordable? Where where is it that I am looking? How much are these monthly payments that I might have to pay? What is my potential income? Oh, I'm sorry. What is the potential income that I can make by opening in this office space? And kind of work on that. Who are the people that I want to serve, and is this the right location for serving those people? So after we kind of figured out what our niche is, then we're going to look at where are those people located, and where are they most likely to obtain services, and then we kind of want to then consider that affordability. Is it accessible? So after assessing what our target population is, are these the type of people that are going to access the services in that space that I am working in, and who is actually going to access that space? In recently selecting office space, we actually kind of surveyed a lot of the clients that are going to be referred to us in the program that we're contracted by, and we determined that the area that we picked would most likely um, be the most accessible for clients that do have to come into the office. And in recent changes in our office space, we've actually lost clients by moving from one area to another because it was no longer accessible to them. A lot of the clients we work with don't have transportation, don't have a means to get there, or not available at the times with the amount of time it would take to get to the new office space when we recently moved 2 years ago. So those are things to consider. will your clients have transportation? Will be able to get to my office? And just different things like that. And lastly, is there room to grow? So depending on what you determined your short-term and long-term goals might be, really looking at those long-term goals might be helpful and kind of doing some forward thinking. Can I grow? Do I have room to expand my practice again, whether nonprofit, whether it's private? Will this space allow me a little bit of room to grow? It doesn't necessarily mean we have to be there forever for our entire journey in our practice, but we also don't want to be relocating every year as we continue to expand and grow. And I know what the agency that I worked with started as 4 or 5 programs, and we now have 30 plus programs, and definitely still would not fit in the original location that we were at. So what is your goal? And with those goals, you have room to grow into meeting those goals. One of the next important things to do, again, whether private or nonprofit, is considering ways to market and strategize. And we've talked about a lot of different things that can help with marketing. And one of those biggest tools, or most helpful beneficial tools, is the website. Therapysites.com, I was exploring that a little bit more, and I do feel like that is one of the easiest ways to go about creating a website, and just to kind of reiterate some of the things that Therapy Sites helps with. It is a website that's specifically for therapists. It makes it really easy and simple to access. You can do a free trial if you're wanting to see what a site could look like for you. It's created for the mental health field, so it takes into consideration confidentiality and security and things like that, to make sure that we're HIPAA compliant in everything that we do, down to the website. There's the option to look at various designs that are fairly simple, create a fairly simple layout and easy to read, and there's a lot of different options to edit the site. There's unlimited pages. There's client forms, suggestions, and different things like that that are really helpful. And it's a pretty reasonable price too, to be able to start and maintain this website, and something that as a professional you can develop and manage yourself. And it's fairly simple for those of us who are not maybe the most electronically or web inclined. So that again is just something that I thought was helpful in looking at ways to market. Sorry, I keep going. It keeps taking me back to the beginning. Okay. So, there you go. So, in the website, and I've heard that again, websites can really be a big tool for a big and helpful tool for marketing. Some suggestions for creating that website, or having someone else create that website, or to have that simple design, make sure the layout's easy to read. I've had clients who have had difficulty accessing resources because they don't understand the website or what the services are that are being offered. I've had clients then tell me that our agency's website is really easy. It's really easy to navigate and look at the different services that we offered, very clear. So again, listing the services that are being provided as another helpful piece of that website, to have having payment options and explanations of how payment is accepted and what those payment rates might be, what fee rates might be. Having an about me section that that identifies who the counselor or counselors are. And I find that it is helpful to include pictures and illustrations. It makes it more relatable to the client who's looking. I can put this name to this face and get this idea of whether or not I feel comfortable with that person. And then, of course, contact information. We want people to be able to contact us by phone, by email, and then also including where your services are located to make sure it's right for them. There are people that will not go access services based on where it might be located. So that is something that could be helpful for the client, just to know where you are. Of course, other options are business cards, and there could be a debate on whether or not business cards are helpful, but I know that every business card I have, I keep, and when I ever need to refer to other resources, I look at that stack of business cards that I keep and do referrals there. So, the more marketing, the better, as long as the right information are on those cards. Same as brochures and advertisement. Really putting what services are being offered. There are a lot of resources in Los Angeles County, but nobody really knows about them. I am aware of names of agencies and names of therapists out there, but I don't know what it is that they provide, what the resources are that can help my clients, and how to access those resources with and for my clients. So these brochures and the advertisement for these resources can really make a difference in allowing people to access them effectively.